You might think this is 2D Dark Souls, and you are correct, but a more accessible Dark Souls. Doesn't change the fact that it made me its bitch. I died so many times to a single boss I'd be lying if I said I didn't get mad, but beating it was sure as hell sweet. Until I got killed by something off screen or wasn't paying attention to. Go figure. I mean, that's fine. These sort of games shouldn't let you have that high you get after gaining over that hurdle for too long. Wouldn't want you getting confidence or anything.
Back so soon.
The story starts off with our character Soren being dragged onto a pit of fire. We are introduced to the guy who was dragging us, telling us to go home basically, and after taking a few steps we meet death, and it turns out we actually were burning. At least I think, because that part was actually never made clear to me. At first I thought killing the immortals in Immortal Kombat was what Death wanted, but he quickly explains that you are to go to Kersorai, I think that's how you pronounce it, in order to destroy an object known as Cyrodiil's Source of Immortality. Man, who the fuck makes these names? However, it doesn't focus too much on the end goal, instead focuses a lot on the journey there, Soren's interactions with Death and the bosses, all of which have backstories found in tomes throughout the game. A really cool feature from what I can tell is whenever you die, you have a chance of getting a little bit of backstory on Soren. I say a chance because I honestly don't know how many times you have to die in order to get more of the past. We can't call Death's Gambit Souls-like without actually comparing it to Dark Souls. So we have 7 classes to choose from but aren't limited to the class you choose. You can use any weapon as long as you have the required base stat. The thing I had to learn was whenever an item gave you plus whatever stat, it doesn't increase your base stat but gives you the amount as a modifier. The only reason why you have a class is for 2 special abilities to start off with, but can purchase more for any weapon as long as you have the shards and NPCs for it. Shards being the currency in Death's Gambit. However, you don't lose shards when you die, but you lose a Phoenix Feather, which are basically the healing items. You start off with 3, but over time you're able to hold more and find different types of feathers, whether they're just stronger heals or have added bonuses. You can also upgrade your gear with materials you find around the game, just lying on the floor waiting to be picked up or acquired through disenchanting the item itself. The combat is also very similar. Stamina plays a huge importance, as does timing. I attacked into an enemy only to have them bitch slap me with their sword because I wasn't being careful. You can also block, which allows you to break guards and perform counters, although they seem to be very clunky and not 100% reliable. Sometimes it broke the guard, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes I was able to perform a counter after a shield bash, and other times it didn't register. So I used it in true Dark Souls fashion. Hide behind it and wait for an opening. All of these things sound similar to Dark Souls, but this is where it branches off and becomes its own game. You have a talent tree. The talents you acquire aren't different from each other depending on which class you pick. It's only the first talent and that just has a different name. Let's go back to the special abilities. There's a magic system which is in the form of soul energy. You can use up to 3 abilities and have them switched out whenever you go to a statue of death, depending if you don't like them or have a different weapon that just doesn't work with that ability. The boss fights is where the challenge is, and they like to point out how many times you died. Each of them is unique in their own way. The Owl King being the first we fight. I thought it was a little too easy personally, but when I got further in the game, I realized it was just a strong NPC. Death's Gambit threw me to the ground when I reached the bulwark. This guy killed me a total of 53 times before I actually killed him, and he's apparently the second boss. Maybe he was poorly scaled, maybe I just didn't get good enough, but I know one thing for sure, I'm not looking forward to doing a heroic rematch with him. Heroic rematches being harder versions of those fights. I truly believe the fight against the Galaxy Mage is the best. I accidentally fought him earlier than I was supposed to and got my ass handed to me. Didn't stop me from trying to beat him until I realized I just couldn't. That should have been obvious to me judging by how you unlock the door to his room, but it encourages exploration. Not with gear, because frankly you will already have what you need, just have to upgrade them, but encourages you with challenge. It may sound like there's nothing wrong with the game, but everything has its issues. One of the main issues I had was the fact you can't cancel over attacks, or at least not easily. The response times from an attack to a dodge roll seem to be too far apart from each other, or that could just be me being stupid. There's also no fast travel. It's not exactly a big game, but it becomes a chore when you have to fight through hordes of NPCs that like to fuck with you if you went the wrong way by accident, like a certain someone did. There are also small frame spikes after dialogues between characters when you finish. In my second playthrough, I skipped through a lot of it because I already heard it, and due to the frame spikes, I accidentally started the script again. Minor issue, but I couldn't help but notice it. This is more of an issue for people using mouse and keyboard, but whenever you rebind your keys, you have to rebind them again each time you boot the game, as they don't save. They seem to only save for the current session you're in. Overall, I enjoyed my time with Death's Gambit. I enjoyed it so much, I tried my hardest to find issues with it, one of them being the only one that actually affects gameplay, and even then I'm not 100% sure if it's me thinking like a noob or if it's actually a problem with the game. So for now, I'll just say, time things properly, otherwise you'll get punished hard. I recommend this to anyone who's a fan of Souls-like games or just wants a challenge, and if you find it easy after you finish it, then there's also New Game Plus scaling from 1 to 10, so even the masochists can enjoy this game. If you enjoyed my video and want to see more reviews, like, comment and subscribe.
People of Vargos must learn the truth. Only I can free them from their